The problem I'm actually running into right now, I'm actually in a long-term client. I've actually been at their house since September.
Oh, fun.
It's doing comic book organization. I'm up to 14,000 comics inside the database and I'm not done yet. Which is the other reason I'm not able to help anybody else right now, because that's
Oh,
literally 40 hours a week. I am at their house 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And so I really can't take on, I've started taking on other jobs just to get myself something variety.
right.
So I've taken on a couple of other jobs, but then it runs into like, how do I schedule the person that I'm currently with? And then I also realized that my consultations don't really help me with scheduling person out for their whole project. So I'll schedule them for the day that they asked me for, and then I don't think about the fact that I need to schedule them for the next, because I know that there's no way I can finish, because I do 4-hour sessions.
Yeah.
But there's no way I could finish in 4 hours, and then I forget to reschedule them, and then they're mad that I have to wait like 2 weeks before I can get back out to them. So
Oh,
scheduling is also something that's a little bit harder for me because I'm not really good at making people wait.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
even if I opened up for clients and I had to tell them, oh, I'm sorry, I can't get to you for a month, like I
Yeah.
think that would kill me. Like I just,
Yeah.
if somebody's
Well, and
calling me and they're wanting it, like it drives them nuts enough that they want to help now. So
yeah. Yeah. Well, so the way that I've got mine set up, and it normally works out pretty well when I have a client, because not every client wants it all done within a few days.
mhm,
Some clients, especially money based, if they're, if they need another paycheck before they can pay for the next session. So I
right.
have some clients that, I work with like once a week, some that I work with, bi-weekly, some that I work with, and we just go ahead and talk about that during the consultation. And then we go ahead and set up the sessions as best we can. And, I always tell them that we're just going to take it step by step. Like I let them know from the beginning that, because you kind of learn, like if it's a kitchen, it's going to take at least 2. If it's a garage, 2 to 3. But other rooms you can normally get done in about a session
4 hours, yeah,
yeah.
3 or 4 hours, yeah.
Yeah. And so, just learning those things, and then just, figuring out your calendar. Like my calendar, it's like I live by it. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but
Mhm.
every single thing has a different color. Like whether it's, a consultation, whether it's a session, whether it's paying a bill, whether it's, and so it may be more, which right now you've got, how much longer do you think you have left with that person that you're doing the comic stuff with?
Probably at least another 2 months.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
and when I took it on, it was not what I expected. Um, I knew it was a large project, but I wasn't expecting to be there almost a year later.
Right. Yeah.
So
Well,
it's been very frustrating because like part of me, that's also another fight that I'm having is like, when do I just say I'm done? Like I don't want to do this project anymore because this is not one, it's not really what I do.
right.
The first part of it was getting the boxes open, getting everything organized. That's the part that I do. Now it almost feels like inventory management.
Yeah. So what have you thought about having the conversation with them of, listen, this isn't really what I do. I don't necessarily want to stop working with you all, but I can only work Mondays and Wednesdays because I need these other days to start building up my other clientele or
Yeah, that's
something,
kind of what I've told her. I didn't really specify like what days. It's more if I get jobs that come in, I tell her when I'm going to work that week. Has kind of what it's turned into. So it's like if I didn't get any clients that week, then I can work the whole week. So I'm
right,
not stuck with I only told you 2 days and now I don't have any clients for the other days either. So I'm not
right.
making any money there either. But like I said, I've just been so terrified to turn on my Angie leads and just let them come in
Oh yeah,
because
no,
I'm
I don't
afraid of
ever
being
turn on my
overwhelmed.
Angie's lead and let them. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like I end up paying more than what I end up making by the time I pay for the
So
leads.
far,
And
that has not been my experience. I have actually made um, way more than I spend on it. And now House is trying to get me to join theirs, and I'm just that's $250 a month for unlimited leads. So no matter how many come in, it's $250 a month, and they help you maintain your online presence. So It's
Well,
all
the
those
the other one I've been
considerations,
looking
so.
into, which I'll add that to my list of the ones that I look into, because
Mhm.
I was thinking about doing like either a podcast episode or something about these different platforms, because everyone wants to know about them.
Right.
But the difference is it depends on where you live, it depends on your availability, it depends on how quick you get back to the lead. But I'll look into House. The other one that a lot of people recently seem to be having some pretty good response with is Google Ads, because you can get so specific on,
Mhm.
as long as your SEO is good, and you can get like extremely specific on the types of clients you're looking for. But I'm in the process of researching that too. One of the girls in the membership, she just recently started using it and she's loving it.
Okay.
And so, I'll do some more research on those and try to get us all some more info on those. But, Angie's Lead, I really think it just depends on where you live, and it depends on how quick you get back to those leads. The only other like tip I would give, if you're open to it, is the people that call that are like, I need it tomorrow or I need you today, have always been the clients that I regretted working with, like, and never seemed to be the right types of clients, because they didn't. Part of being an organizer is like, listen, I'm here to help you, but here's what it looks like to work with me. I need to do a consultation. We need to come up with a game plan. Like, there's steps to this. And if they don't respect those boundaries, then they're not going to respect any boundaries we have. You know
Okay.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
so like, you just have to be careful with allowing them to kind of run all over you. And
I'm really bad at that.
which would
I
be why you were drawn to me, is because I didn't have a backbone. I didn't know how to say no to anyone ever.
Mhm.
And through this process, I've had to learn all of those things.
Yeah. And honestly, that's kind of work that I've been doing on myself as a whole, is learning boundaries anyway.
Yeah.
But doing it in this environment's even harder for me, because it's like, well, maybe I could have helped them, and like just trusting my gut that no, I don't want to work with this person. I had one client that I ended up giving her a discount because she was just like, I'm sorry, I just can't afford that. And I was like, okay. So I gave her, I don't know why I went straight to half off, but to half off. And so it was $25 an hour. And then when she did my review, she was just like, for the money or value for the money, she put a 3. And I was
Right.
like, and I discounted it. So it was like, you didn't appreciate it to begin with. So those are the
Yes.
things I'm also learning, is not to discount unless I absolutely like it. I can really tell that it's really a hardship. Like they
Yeah.
want this service and they need it, but they just can't afford it. As
Yeah.
opposed to, it's just not. And to for somebody to be like, oh, it's just not worth my money. Well, then you're not there.
Right. And a lot of people,
So
they want help, they know they need help, but some people are at that messy middle where they know they need help, they want it, but
mhm,
they're not at enough of a pain point to be willing to put their money where their mouth is. And I know, like, I used to work paycheck to paycheck, $10 an hour, but if there was something I needed or my child needed, I made sure that I had the money somehow, some way. Like, you figure out a way to come up with the
right.
money if it's that important to you. And so I 100% agree with your husband, FYI, of upping your
Well, he's my
prices.
CFO. He's my CFO. So honestly, he's been like helping a lot on that side of it, because that is what he does. Like Google Ads, if I bring it up to him, he knows the ins and outs of all of that. So I'll actually talk to him about that. Other people have had more success with Google Ads than with other ones, and this probably, I don't know if they just don't cost as much. I don't know how much they cost in general for the Google Ads, but
So the Google
he knows
ads are
how
a
to
little
specify
different.
them.
Yeah, the Google ads, it's pay per click, where with the other places it's pay per lead.
Okay.
So, you pay per click, but it's way less that you're paying per each click, but you don't pay unless someone actually clicks onto your website, which just means you've got to make sure your website's in like the best shape it can be. So then they actually want to at least contact you,
Okay.
type thing. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it's definitely something to look into and just see. But yeah, if I were you, I'd definitely start trying to see the very best, the easiest way you could to pull back from what you're doing now, and at least start getting that ball rolling. Because once that job's done that you're doing now, and then all of a sudden you have no work
Yeah.
whatsoever,
Yeah. I need
like
to start now.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's not going to be good. So, but yeah, and we'll definitely keep chatting. We're like inside the membership, we're doing like Google My Business is the workshop we're doing this week. I'm in the process of trying to come up with some workshops for some different things for everybody. And, so like it's getting there. We're just, it takes time to like get all these different, like, do the research, then do the workshop, then record it, then, get it out and that kind of stuff. So,
Okay. And where is the membership? Like, is that something completely separate to sign up for?
yeah. So the way that we did this, and Trista's actually a member of the membership. So the way that we did this, what I felt like professional organizer communities were missing was an actual group membership, something like this, where we all meet, we get to know each other by name. We can talk about what we're going through. We can, each of us can talk about our issues and like, or this happened with a client, or this is where I'm getting stuck on my website, or, those types of things. And so it's a monthly paid membership. And inside of the membership, we do biweekly group coaching. We're getting ready to add biweekly co-working sessions where we work on our business together at the same time.
Okay.
And then I also do like a teaching workshop where like, we have like kind of a topic that we teach, whether it's like last month was Canva, this month's Google My Business, and then like SEO workshops, just the things that are helping us on the back end of our business. And then the coaching.
That's the part I suck at.
Yeah, and we all do. Yeah. And that's why we're adding the co-working sessions, is so we all can learn to help each other with those pieces.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're all struggling with the back end.
That's the thing, is like I'm so good at doing the job. I don't know any of this other stuff that I'm supposed to be doing. So
Yeah.
it's been very frustrating. Like the consultation, like I am not a question person. And so it has been so hard for me to leave going, oh, I didn't ask that. Oh, I didn't ask that. Oh, wait. And then I get to their session and they're like, well, what about this? Oh, I probably should have established that during the consultation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's stuff that I don't think about until after the fact. For a little while, I did have an employee. She was a contract employee, but helping me at the client that I'm at now. But she just went for a year-long road trip. So
Oh, fun.
I lost her. But if she comes back, she's good at that. Like she wants to do it once. So she is really good at asking all those questions. Well, how do you like this? What about this? And I'm like, I am not good at that. I'm just good at just doing it. I don't ask a lot of questions until I get to, how would you like this done in the middle of it? I don't ask at the beginning. So that's something that I struggle with, is I just start doing it. And then if I'm doing it wrong, oh, okay, I'll fix it.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, like I think coming up with, like, cause I teach my girls to like have a folder with your contract in it, but also I'm in the process of trying to come up with almost a list of questions that we can ask during the consultation that you don't have to ask all of them, but just things to be thinking about. Because it matters what we ask during the consultation, because setting our clients' expectations from the get-go is how they're going to expect us to work with them through the entire time that we're working with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, my daughter wants some crayons.
No, go do that. And I'll say hi to Mary. Go get her some crayons. We love our kids. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Samantha.
How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good.
Good. So where are you at in your business? How's things going for you?
Yes. So I decided late last summer that I was going to start a home organizing business, listened to a bunch of podcasts, and one in particular recommended, having professional photos taken and a professional website. So I went and I did all that. Because I thought it was important too, just because, you are going into people's homes and whatnot. So I did all that. And then I noticed I was dragging my feet for a while, like really dragging my feet. And I'm like, oh my God, why am I scared? I think part of it was like, I was scared, but then I started questioning, is this not really what I want to do? I was thinking I wanted to do that. But yeah, the thing that came up was just like the fear or bumbling through it, you know what I mean? Not knowing, like Kristen was saying, forgetting to ask certain questions and then going back and not looking professional. So I finally, sometime in January, I finally like published the website with a, or no, it was in December, with a, coming soon, opening January, and created a Facebook page. And then the past 3 weeks, I've had a health issue that I think has finally dissipated. So today, somebody in a Facebook, a local, the city that I live in, somebody had posted in the Facebook page, they were looking for professional organizer recommendations. And I told her, oh, I'm a professional organizer. So she messaged me and she said they just moved into their house this summer and they need help organizing the kitchen. And I was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, do I know what I'm doing? And so she asked what my rate was, and I have that published on my website. And, I told her kitchens, just from what I've listened to, kitchens could take anywhere from 6 to 8 hours or 9 to 12. So I said, they usually take 6 to 8, maybe less in your case, because, maybe they don't have decluttering to do,
Right.
saying they just moved and it's, I mentioned that my consult, the phone consult and the in-person consult is free. So yes, I do not have any clients other than and my boyfriend has two businesses, and I've been organizing his paperwork. So the name of my business that I came up with, well, I had one and then somebody else had that name and it was trademarked, and the girl that did my website, she thought I might run into trouble later with that. So I changed my name. I had to do a DBA. It's called She Organizes Paper and More, because I love paper. I would love that to be my niche, whether that's, for individuals, families, and small businesses. So his small business I've been organizing. It's just a very paper heavy business. It's a butcher shop, so that, they could have, 10 invoices a day. And so I've been working on that, and that has been, very enjoyable. And I've done 20 plus years of administrative work, various roles. A lot of the techie stuff, the social media thing bothers me. I think I decided this weekend that I'm just going to have to pay somebody to do it, because I don't even enjoy it in my personal life. Like, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, but I don't post anything. And the podcast that I'm listening to recently this weekend is Kate Waldo and Company. She, I think it's 3-day work weeks for millennials. And she talks about, just, if you don't enjoy something, just have somebody else do it. You know what I mean? Because they're probably going to be better at it. And that's my next step, is just looking to help somebody market me, because I don't want to struggle with that every day, like, but I want it also to sound genuine, and not always be salesy. And so that's where I'm at. I could possibly have my first client soon. Social media, and I don't have anything as far as the website. I was thinking about setting up HoneyBook and everything from the get-go, and somebody was like, you know what, just take that off your plate. Just worry about that, when you're 6 months in, when you like it. She even recommended, don't even get insurance, for a few months. And that just took a huge weight off my shoulder, because it was like just learning the whole, even though I didn't do the website, I still had to do things afterward, and I spent hours on stuff, and it just makes me feel very old that I'm not, social media, posting on social media makes me feel very old, and just all this other, back office stuff that, like, we were talking about with Kristen.
Yeah. And honestly, like, what my recommendation would be for that, if you hate the social media and the back end stuff, because I did too, because I'm not a Facebook person, I'm not a whatever, but it was one of those things where I was like, well, I have to do it, and I was bootstrapping it from the beginning, and so I was trying to pay as little as possible. And a lot of people now, like, I just spoke with a lady today that I was trying to find someone that would give a discount to my girls that needed help with social media.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, well, okay, well, I'll give them a discount. It'll be $1,500 a month.
What?
And I was like, that's your discount? Like, have you lost your mind? Like, and so I'm trying to find somebody that, like, maybe enjoys that as a side hustle, and, like, could help with, like, the girls that I have that, like, just need it for, like, not that price, obviously. And so my point being is, if worse comes to worse, what I did was I literally used the exact same Canva template. It said before and after, and I've got, like, a whole little workshop on it inside the membership that you can watch. And literally, I would just plug in the new before photo, the new after photo, and hit post. Then I'd
Mhm.
have another session. Hit the new before photo, the new after photo, post. It was the exact same template, but it literally, I would just change the photo and like the title, like craft room or kitchen or whatever, and then just post it. And then it actually turned out good because when someone's scrolling down my social media, everything looks uniformed because
Mhm.
it's the same
Right.
post, and it made my life so much easier.
Mhm.
And so there's little tips and tricks like that, if you could learn to do just that one little thing, then you
Mhm.
could do your social media. Like, I
Mhm.
think we get it in our head that it's like this crazy big thing and it's like so hard. And that's why I created the community that that we do or whatever, is because that's what was missing for me, right? Is like, you hear all these podcasts, which of course I have one, but you hear all these podcasts or you take a course, but the course is like a self-study thing. And then all of a sudden you're left alone and you're like, well, now what? Like, who answers my questions now? Like, what if I have a question and it's, 3 a.m. or I have a question about this, or I'm in the middle of, a session and I'm like, what do I do about this closet, or whatever the case may be. And so that's why I created the community, was because I knew that that's what we needed, is that's what we were all missing, is other people. Because the problem with the free Facebook groups that you get on, like, I love them, don't get me wrong, but you ask one question, you're going to get 50 million different answers. Well, that doesn't
Mhm.
help me either, because now I feel like I got to go do all those things. Like, all that did
Mhm.
was stress me out,
Mhm.
you know? Um, and so the point is that, like, inside the membership, a lot of the women, like, there's a couple that are a little farther along, and then there's a few that have just started, and then there's a few that are kind of in the messy middle right now, where they're just starting to get their clients, but they've already got their website. And, so everybody's at a little bit of a different stage, but everyone is so helpful. And like, like, you go in and you post something, or you're like, hey, what about this? And everyone's like, oh, well, have you thought about this or thought about that? But the better part besides that, like, that's great. But to me, the magic comes when we can all get together like this. And when you hear other people and what they're struggling with, and you realize, like, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. Everyone that's starting their business is going through this exact same thing. Um, so yeah, that's, why it's just so important to have a sisterhood and people
Mhm.
around you as you're doing this, because before you know it, if you stay by yourself too long, you're going to get so burnt out that you're just going to end up quitting, because it's
Mhm.
not going to feel worth it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right. It's nice when you do post in those Facebook groups, or any, just any professional organizer, that, yeah, a lot of people are very helpful and understand what it feels like from the very beginning. I mean, I'm even struggling with Canva. Like, I don't know why, but Canva is very difficult for me to learn, and again, makes me feel old. But and
Hey,
then
I
but
did a
yeah,
video on that too.
okay.
And I actually am in the process. I don't know when it's coming out. It may be like another 2 weeks or so, because my VA just had a baby like 4 days ago. So we're in the, I've got to give her a minute to get her baby situated. But I've got it set up to where it'll have 30 like plug and play templates. So you can just kind of plug and play them as your own. And so they're already created, and you just pop in your own photo and then send them out. But I went through and did an actual video. And what I'm trying to do in the workshops that we're doing each month is, do the workshop. I share my screen, I show you all, but then at the end, we do like a live Q&A. So if you're having questions, or if, and that's why we're then adding the co-working sessions, is because what I've realized is, okay, you've got the workshop, so you get taught, you ask some questions, but then as you're trying to implement it is when the like kind of stress comes on. And so if we were all together at the same time, looking at our own canvas and talking about it and asking our questions and being able to share our screens with each other, then I think that's where we could really like benefit from one another and, helping each other, because I think that's what we're missing, honestly, in my opinion. Of, because this stuff is stressful. especially trying to, like who has the time to do the research and learn it and figure, but once you figure out that tool will help you for the rest of your business.
Yeah.
It just takes some time to figure it out. And what's so funny is a lot of the girls in the group right now, they keep thinking they should be farther along than they are.
Mhm.
But what they're not remembering is most of them are working full-time jobs. This is not a side hustle, but they're putting part-time hours towards building their business. And so you've got to give yourself some grace to be like, listen, it takes time at first to get the foundational pieces correct. But once you've got those foundational pieces, you'll never have to go back and redo those again. Like these are
Right.
one-time things. And then after you get the foundations, then you can start, from there, you've already learned all those techie things
Right.
that you need to learn, but just the basics of them. You don't have to be a pro at it. You just have to know enough to post a before and after photo.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. So, hey, Miss Trista, are you like struggling or doing it? How are you doing?
No, I'm doing pretty good. I just wanted to jump on and see what's going on here today since I had some time. Let's see, Mary was saying about Canva. I was struggling at first too. You just really have to just sit down and mess around with it. Watch Samantha's video, definitely. That'll help you. Some of the YouTube videos are a little confusing. I don't know. They're not real basic, but definitely watch that one that Samantha made. And then, yeah, you just have to keep playing around with it and you'll get it. Because it took me a little while, but I got it. And I'm
Yeah.
making business cards and social media posts and different things. So it'll come.
Yeah.
I think I'm used to the way I'm used to learning is like just kind of classroom learning where I'm learning instead of watching a video and they're saying, oh, click on this button. And then I'm like looking on the screen, it takes me 5 minutes to find the button. So then I got to rewind the video and then I go back and then I'm lost again. And it's like, I feel like I'm at the point where do I hire like not a virtual assistant, but like just a local social media marketing person, like for a couple of hours, show me how to do this stuff. I don't mind. I don't like what I feel like right now, like I'm spinning my wheels, you know what I mean? Like I'm struggling to learn it on my own. Like, why am I doing that? I could just pay somebody, hopefully, not more than a couple $100, but I'll learn it and I won't be frustrated, aggravated, not know what I'm doing. That's kind of where I'm at with it. That just,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it gets frustrating and it seems like you're wasting a lot of time and money doing it, but I guess it's just personally, what you feel like you can do. I ended up figuring it out. So, and then I've been listening to that Pro Organizer Marketing, the one that you were on, Samantha.
yeah.
And she has a lot of good tips too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But-
It's another podcast, Pro Organizers Marketing. And honestly, like, if it okay, so I don't know where you're at, but if you would like to at any point jump on like an unstuck session with me where you share your screen, you and I can one-on-one, I can sit and like show you stuff, but you be the one that's actually like you share your screen. So then I'm teaching you, but you're the one hitting the buttons.
yeah.
If you think something like that would be helpful, I'd be more than happy to do it. My only concern, if you start looking for other people, only because I've been trying to do the same myself recently, is everyone and their brother has become a social media marketer because the prices are so outrageous. And so, maybe if you could find like a college student or somebody like that,
Right.
that you could pay a little less. But when it comes to the actual like hiring someone that does this for a living, you're going to pay astronomical rates. Like it's insane how much people charge because everyone wants a social media manager. So it's
Right.
like the new thing that you can charge whatever you want and people are going to pay it
Mhm.
Wow, I can't believe she wanted $1,500.
as a discount for all of my girls. I was like, listen, I have a group of women that would probably be more than happy to like hire you. I said, but all they need is just like a couple posts a week for their business. Like that's it. They don't need a lot
And
per
I'm starting,
person.
I'm starting to get that. I'm getting a formula together so I can get this down. Like, and now I have a tip of the week or something. So I have a Canva one template, and then I'm just gonna plug in tips of the week. And then I
Yeah.
have my Toss It Tuesday. So I'm starting to get a few different
Toss It
ideas. So
Tuesday. I like that.
you
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
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 And my
and
it's
husband
just-
said $1,500 is dirt cheap. He said that that's actually really cheap.
for a social
don't
media
remember.
manager. I mean, it
Yeah.
is like, it's crazy what people charge for that nowadays.
Wow.
Just find
I-
a high schooler.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can get them to show up on time and actually help
Exactly.
you understand. My kids are in high school and I don't know if I'd trust them to show me anything. But, you know, the point being is I think that whatever works for you, it's just, that's what I love about this group, you know, atmosphere is that we're each going through it, but we all have different points that we can bring together to help each other as we're struggling through these things. But the kind of like what Trista was saying, what I do love though is if you could come up with just a couple of templates, you would never have to create another template again. If you have one template that you use for quotes, one template that you use for your before and after photos, and one template that you use for a tip of the week or whatever, you literally have 3 quotes. You rotate the quotes out. All you got to do is go in and refill in the text that's in it or the photo that's on it and hit post. Done. And then it's not like every single time you come up with a post, you have to come up with a new post every time yeah. And that I think something like that would help you a whole lot because it would make it a lot simpler that once we could get those 3 posts for you set up, then, you know, each week you just go in, put in the new wording and then hit post. Done. And then it can be as simple as that.
Well, before I started this, I was a mortgage loan officer and I belonged to a couple networking groups and they talked about, you know, when you're marketing yourself on social media, not to be, you know, salesy every time. So I like that idea of like a quote here, but there was a formula and I can't remember it. I was going to research it today and I didn't, where it was like for every 3 posts, you know, like post something about maybe personally about yourself or, you know, your pets, or do you guys know what that formula is?
It's like an 80-20. 80% of your post should be like informational or educational, and
Okay.
20% should be the promotional.
Okay.
Yeah, so mine right now are all just educational. I'm not even promoting myself because I'm terrible at that. So
Well, and for me, I don't even try to promote myself. I use my before and after photos. I consider that as my promotion because it's showing what I can do, but it's without me feeling like I have to put myself out there and be like, hire me, you know, like it's just a way of being like, look what I've done. And then I just leave it at that. And those are normally the ones that I end up getting more engagement from, or that someone's like, hey, I'm going to tell my mom about you because I saw that craft room you did. And it's literally just a before and after on a post. And it's as simple as that.
My problem's taking the before picture.
We were just talking about that at the
I
group.
literally just walk in and start working and I've already pulled everything out of wherever I'm working. And I'm like, I did it again.
Yes. So Kristen, I have 2 tips of advice because we were just talking about this in the group right before I hopped on this one. There's 2 ways you can do this. One is you do it during the consultation, but the problem is during the consultation, you've not technically gotten the release, like they've not approved yet for you to be taking photos.
I asked them. Yeah, I usually ask them, can I take some photos? Because it helps me formulate in my brain before I come to the first session. So I have a verbal authorization from them during the consultation.
Yeah, which is
But-
great. I'm saying, but you know,
Yeah.
some people are just weird about it at first and you have to explain.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I do is in my calendar or on my clock, at whatever time I know I'm about to be pulling up at that session, I put a reminder in my phone, take before photo. So it like reminds my brain right before I walk through the door.
Okay. Yeah, I always start working and then I'm like, well, I guess I'm not getting a before picture out of this.
Yeah, and honestly, even if you can't do a before and an after, even an after sometimes of just like, hey, like this is a session I did today and look at how beautiful it was after. I don't know
Mhm.
we always have to have the before. It's just that helps that wow factor of like, wow, in one session this is what you got done was all of this.
Also so much more focused on the functionality of it, and it's really hard for me to think that I want to put those pictures up because they're not pretty. I
Listen,
mean,
my
they work for the client, but that's all that really, but it's definitely not Instagram worthy, with all that. Because I'm also somebody, I try to work with what they already have. I'll send them an Amazon shopping list if they decide that they want to buy something, but I don't make them buy anything. And so
not
it's like, it does
not
not look
one of our
pretty.
girls in our group, like that's why you guys are attracted to, like, not attracted to me, but like the way I teach things is because it's never Pinterest perfect ever. Like we're not working with the Khloe Kardashians of the world. Like, we're just not. But the before and after for me, as long as the before, like the floor is covered and the after, the floor is kind of clear, job well done. Good.
Yeah.
That's a before and after photo. And
A
honestly,
lot of
I
a
have
lot of
people.
people will just
Oh,
say,
go ahead.
you look like a down to earth person, I don't need this Pinterest perfect stuff. I can't, a lot of people can't maintain boxes and bins and, all the fancy in the kitchen cabinets and whatnot. They can't maintain that, so a lot of people are just happy to have it organized. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, I couldn't even tell you the majority of the people that reach out to me and say the reason I reached out to you was because your before and after photos looked so normal. I
Mhm.
knew you wouldn't judge me. And because
Okay.
everybody else's websites looked so Pinterest perfect,
I don't want them in my house. Yeah.
well, I just assumed that they would judge me because I'm not on that level. That's not how I live. I have dogs and kids
Yeah.
and a life. And when I saw your photos, I could tell that those people had kids and dogs and a life and but it looked so much better after. And I'm just cuz we've got to remember a lot of the people that for us as like heart-centered entrepreneurs, the people that call us are the ones that they are drowning and they just need someone to like reach down and help pull them back up and get them on solid ground.
Yeah.
They're not the ones that are like, oh, my life's perfect and I can do, like I can pay for 10 people to come in all at once and, you know. And so I think when we forget about us and we remember who it is that we're helping and the fact that as long as they're happy and as long as we helped elevate them in some way, then that is photo worthy of the job that we did because that's what we're doing for a living. And I promise you, the word will get around about you way faster because of that, because it makes you stand out from all the other professional organizers.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
had
actually,
started out doing the tip of the week and I I just got so busy with actual work that I didn't actually take the time per week to sit down and just work on the business stuff. It was just like work, work, work. And now I'm pretty sure I haven't posted anything on my social media in probably 6 or 8 months,
Yeah.
just
And that,
because I'm just doing the work, not talking about it. So
yeah. Well, and a lot of us are like I think the last time I posted before just like a week and a half ago, I was like, oh, it's been like 4 months. I probably need to send a post out, because I'm busy working. But that word of mouth is the biggest marketer that you can ever have is all of these people that are so happy with what you're doing. And the other piece is making sure to get those 5-star reviews. Those two things have been like what have made my business grow the way that it has is making sure my clients feel like special while I'm there and that they're happy when I leave. And I immediately send them the link of asking specifically for a 5-star review because, so they know what I'm expecting. Cause I don't want no 2 or 3 star, like, I would like a 5-star review. And if it's a client that I'm not sure they're going to give me a 5-star review,
you don't ask for a
I don't
review.
even
Yeah.
ask for a review because I'm like, listen, if you're not, I don't need anyone tainting what I've worked so hard to build.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm actually kind of nervous if anybody reaches out that wants like luxury organizing, because, I mean, I'd certainly find pretty baskets if you want, but yeah, if they want it to look like the Home Edit, or like you mentioned, Khloe Kardashian or something, yeah, that's kind of not my style. I was going to, mention on my website, like, I'll do organizing basic to dressed up, you know what I mean? If they just want basic organizing, let's shop your house for baskets or whatnot. But if you want, luxury stuff, we can find that too. But I guess I'm afraid of that they're going to have these high expectations, that they're going to want it to look, Pinterest worthy, Instagram worthy, and I may not reach those because that's not my style.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's the same as you all finding me. We attract the people that want what we have. That like very few times have I attracted someone that like it wasn't my cup of tea or it didn't mesh well. And I knew it in my gut from the moment I met them. And anything, if you come to work and come to this with a sense of no matter what it is, I can learn it,
Mhm.
then you'll figure it out as you go. It's just a learning process, and you
Mhm.
just have to be willing to constantly be a student
Mhm.
of learning how to do certain things based on the clients you have at that time. I never feel prepared when I walk into a session ever, because I
Mhm.
never know what I'm walking into,
Mhm.
That's where the questions, where, if you have a list of questions, what they expect, what their goal for the space is, they can kind of tell you what they want. I want this to look perfect, or I just want this to, I just need this organized. I don't need any fancy organizing systems,
Mhm.
so I guess that's the where the questions would come in to ask them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And, I think also like, if you end up deciding you want, to do like an unstuck session, either one of you, I would love to sit down and kind of help you come up with, because I'm actually in the process of trying to figure out the list for the consultation, the list for the session, but whatever it is that can help you, because that's what I'm here for, right? Like, that's why I created the community, is so we can have other women around us on, and constantly be learning together, and people to answer your questions without it being confusing. But then also the unstuck sessions that are more one-on-one of, hey, what are you struggling with right now? What is it you need? And how can I help you with that specific thing? But I think a lot of us, we get in our heads of, 5 steps ahead. Oh, I've got to know this thing up here
Mhm.
when we're still down here. Well, so let's talk about the down here. What's the very next step? Let's get that taken care of, and then we'll move on. And by the time you get to that step, more than likely you'll be so much closer to already having the answer to that thing anyways.
Mhm.
Yeah, the group meetings are really helpful, just talking to other people. Like Samantha said, we do it every other week. And it's very helpful. And then
Mhm.
you can also, when you are in the group, you can look back on those meetings if you miss a meeting, and then you can listen to what they were talking about, which is helpful too.
Yeah, like I
So,
keep all the group replays in there. So
Mm.
like any of the groups that you miss, or that, or once you, sign up, the ones that are previous, you can go back and watch those replays. And so a lot of the questions that you probably have been answered in a lot of those. And so, and then when it comes to the workshop, the reason I'm trying to do the workshops the way I'm trying to do them, which is me actually sharing my screen and doing it step by step by step, is because my frustration with YouTube and different things is that they talk a good game, they talk about it, but like how? Like, show me on your screen exactly how you're doing this thing.
Mhm.
Like, that's where my frustrations come in. And so that's why, as I'm doing these workshops and stuff, I'm trying my best to do more of the, here's my screen, here's exactly how I'm doing it. And then now that we're adding those co-working sessions on the end of those, okay, now let's let you all try to do this and see where you're getting stuck. Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely been helpful being in her group. So I would definitely recommend it.
Thanks,
Yep.
Trista.
I
Because
would, yep.
because honestly, like the whole reason I even built this was because it's what I wish I would have had when I was starting. You know,
Mhm.
that's been the whole point of this. And the reason it's evolved so much in such a short amount of time is because I keep asking the people in the group, what do you want? What's more of what you need? What else can I add? And so I'm trying to add those things as we go because I want each person to feel like they're being heard and seen and that they matter as a part of the group and that, you know, the value that they're needing, they are getting is, you
The
know, kind
value is
of the point.
definitely there. I mean, you message her and she'll get back to you like quick. It's
Yeah.
not like days later.
Yeah, I had
She's-
one of
She's
the
quick.
I had one of the girls the other day. She sent me a message and I sent her back a message answering her and she goes, "What are you doing awake? Isn't it like 2 a.m. at your house?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, but you sent me a message." You know, like I try to be there as much as I possibly can because I want you all to succeed. Like you succeeding is me succeeding,
Mhm.
you know, and like that's the whole point of all of this. And so anyways, so if you guys are interested in any of that, definitely let me know. And then I know we just have a few minutes left, but are either of you guys like thoughts or like questions or things that are coming up for you on like any way that we can help you right now or like any questions we can answer for you or
I'm curious, do you get into the different, I don't know what you call them, like applications as far as HoneyBook or Dubsado or Trello, or I know those are things that I, will learn eventually, but I guess, okay, you don't, okay.
because
I personally use HoneyBook.
yeah,
I actually think it's pretty straightforward and it makes it easy
yeah,
to know which process you're in with which client. Because there's actually like at the top, it literally has like in process. So if you're looking for anybody that you're currently working on, just click on that tab and then it pulls those people up. It's also just been really good to keep with billables. It also allows you to just invoice directly. And if you set up with a bank account, you can actually charge them through it too. They can actually pay you. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop for all the things that you're going to have to do with your business anyway. I personally like it. And I got a really good, I think the first year was like $89. So when
Oh,
you
that's
first
really
start, it's
good.
actually really cheap. If you get the sale or go in, and they usually give like first year discounts. So it's like 89 for the first year, and then you can decide after that if it's still working for you, but you're not putting in too much more money in order
Yeah.
to run it.
Yeah.
Well,
And the
there's-
reason I said no was because I'm more of a so I have QuickBooks and I have Canva. That's all I have for my business. Everything else I do is essentially paper, which I know sounds very like old school, but it's because when I go and I do a consultation with a client, I want to sit down and talk to them face to face. I want to go over my contract, step by step. I feel like the digital stuff makes it very impersonal and I want it to be personable. I want them to feel connected to me. And so then once they book the sessions, the way that I have set up my sessions and getting paid is a little different than what most people teach. And I expect payment on that day for that day's work at the end of that day's session. So if I do a 3-hour session and it's, $247, then they pay me before I even walk out the door. And then we set up the next session. And then on that day, the payment is $247 before I walk out the door. And I tell a lot of my clients this, where I tell them, I don't agree with being paid for a job I have not yet done, but I do believe in getting paid for the work I've done that day. And so because of setting it up that way, it keeps me from having to deal with a lot of the digital stuff that's stressful anyways. And B, it's more of a personal connection. And it seems like my clients really appreciate that, where they're like, oh, you're right, because I don't want to pay like $2,000 all at once, or I can't afford $2,000 all at once, or, those types of things. And I really am there to help them and meet them right where they are, which is also why I tell them, whatever your timeline is based on what you can afford. So if you want to get all of these sessions done back to back, I can do that. If you want to work once a week, we can do that, whatever it is, because a lot of people are working paycheck to paycheck
Mhm.
and they can only afford one session per paycheck or something along those lines. And so I don't ever want me charging them, for like 5 sessions all at once or anything like that to be what keeps them from working with me.
Mhm.
So that's how I've set my business up just a little bit differently than what the typical person does. And,
Mhm.
but
I personally
I've-
think that's a good way to do it. There's so many people on Facebook groups saying, oh, I didn't get paid for this or that. And I'm not leaving your house till you pay me.
right.
You
Yeah,
know, I mean,
yeah,
I
that's
can't believe
exactly.
people invoice people and then they think that they're gonna pay them. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that aren't gonna pay you.
Oh, I
Yeah.
use an invoice as a statement. No, you've already
Just-
paid me. I'm gonna send you, this is what you paid me.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So
like a
it's easy to-
receipt.
It
That's
just
what
looks a little
Honeybook
more
for me-
professional.
Yeah, for me, Honeybook just allows it to be like, I can literally send you here, this is what I did, this is what you paid me, and then we're done. And it's digitally stored. I also, with Honeybook, I actually just personally bought a Lenovo Yoga. So I can actually do the contract in there and actually just flip it open into basically a page. So it actually, I can do the contract almost like they're doing it on paper, just flipping it open and doing it that way. So I haven't had a chance to do that yet because I haven't created a contract yet. Because all the ones that are in there, that's the one thing I don't like about it. Our job is so specific. It has been so hard to find a template that I can even extrapolate to do what
So-
I need to do.
Yeah. So in the membership, I took a photo and it's for inspirational purposes only. But I took a photo of my contract that I use and then of my release of liability waiver that I use. And those photos are in there inside of the membership. So you girls could look at those because that was another frustration I had when I was first building my business. Everyone had these like templates, but they were so basic that I'm like,
Mhm.
this doesn't cover a dang thing I'm doing and
Mhm.
doesn't tell me anything, And so
Yeah.
once
And,
I
and ours also incorporates so many different positions. Like we're technically an interior designer, technically a contractor, technically this as we're doing things. So it's like, how do I put all of those together into one contract to make it work? I did find one woman that used to be a lawyer that now does professional organizing. So she created one. And I almost bought it, but we didn't have the money at the time. But it was like $300 or $400, and it's like, and if there's any legal updates to it, they update those automatically for you. But it was like $300 or $400 for a contract that was specifically
No.
for professional organizers. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of those, hey, do I need to just pay somebody to do something that I don't know how to do? So
Right. Well, and exactly. And so that's why I'm trying to bring as much as I can. And that's also why I set it up as a subscription monthly price. Is so it's cheaper, but in that way it's per month. But I'm also trying to bring in as much value as I possibly can throughout the month because it is astronomical. Like one of the girls that came to me, she had just bought a course on how to be a professional organizer. She paid $650 and all it was someone like talking. She barely got anything with it. And part of it was she was supposed to get one group one-on-one coaching session at like for
Mhm.
buying the program. The woman wouldn't even respond to her after she bought the $650 course. And I'm like, this is where people
because
like
you don't even know which ones are the good ones and which ones are just scams. Yeah.
right. Yeah. And so, and then just a little, so on the other end of this, I'm also in the process of building those mini workshops for that reason too. Oh, ATP said that's what happened to her also. Like it's crazy that these people are convincing people like, oh, my course will fix everything. Well, no, it won't. It's going to confuse me more. And then who's going to answer my questions? Because you're not even going to be around to answer my questions.
Mhm.
And so the mini workshops that I'm in the process of creating, I'm trying to do the mini so that way it's, like a $27 item specifically for Canva or a $27 item specifically for this or specifically for that. So that way no matter where people are, they can pick and choose what pieces of the course they want compared to,
Right.
oh, the whole thing is $1,000.
Right.
Like nobody can afford that. Like you just, especially when you're first getting started, you just can't do it. But you feel like on the inside, well, if I don't have that, I'm never going to get there. Or how do I even create this business without that template? When really, this is how you learn, is by talking with other people and this group atmosphere. Like that is where the magic's at, honestly, truly.
This is the value. Yeah, you have to definitely join the group. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
right. Yeah.
it's a good value. It's really helpful, and yeah,
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
And honestly, if you're at the place where you're not even sure, I've got one other free group coaching call here in 2 weeks. Join us there again. In the meantime, reach out to me if you want to do like a free consultation where we chat one-on-one. I'd be more than happy to do that too. And then, you join for a month. If you hate it or it's not what you think it is, well, then, cancel after a month or something. I don't know. Misha says her Zoom is messing up. Oh, it's pouring down the rain and she's not able to change it. Yeah, that's fine, Misha. You can reach out to me after this and then definitely just send me a DM and we'll chat about it, because I know you've not been able to like talk or chat or anything. And then the other thing, just as an added bonus, if you end up joining the membership, is I've also been doing one-on-one coaching sessions with the girls in the membership for a podcast episode. So if you're interested in being on the podcast, that's a good way to get on the podcast too.
Oh, that you had one from North Carolina. I was like, hey, I'm in North Carolina. I
Yeah.
think that's also the other biggest concern you have is like, now that you see all these people joining all these groups for professional organizers, like, okay, is there enough business for all of them?
Yes. And honestly, all of the women, like like in our group, I think 3 or 4 are from Canada. A couple are out west. And then we've actually got one lady named Kathy. She's in North Carolina. She is fantastic. But the difference is that there's so many people like that have so much clutter. We are never going to run out of a job.
That was my dad's
Ever.
concern. He was like, are you sure you're going to be able to work enough to do this? And I was like, yeah, I think I will. It's just getting it started is the hard part.
It really is. Yeah. And once you get, like I said, those foundational pieces and you learn those foundational pieces, from there, it's just more about having people around you to support